So we actually have some really good news regarding Social Security and Medicare, because it has been agreed to that Republicans will not touch Social Security or Medicare leading into these debt ceiling negotiations. Now, this has been one of the biggest talking points amongst lawmakers for the past few months, but things did take a turn very recently, and I want to address what's going on. Now, for months, lawmakers said that their goal was to put social spending programs up against the debt ceiling. Some Republicans came out, mostly in the House of Representatives, and they said they are going to put Social Security and Medicare up against the debt ceiling. Well, their goal is still to put social spending programs up against the debt ceiling. However, it's not necessarily Social Security and Medicare. But what was recently announced is that Republicans were not in agreement as to where the cuts were coming from. We could see spending cuts from nutrition programs, child care, housing, utility payments, military spending, and so much more. But it was just this week that Speaker Kevin McCarthy told Donald Trump Jr. that we won't touch Medicare or Social Security. So that's good news there. Now, even the Senate Democrat Joe Manchin, he said this week that Kevin McCarthy never called for cuts to Medicare or Social Security. What he called for was a reduction in spending, and that comes from many different sources. Again, it could come from nutrition assistance. We see right now, and I know a lot of people are talking about it, I've been discussing the cuts that we are going to see to SNAP benefits. The emergency allotment is going to get cut. All right, we're going to see all these things get reduced to the normal spending, not what we've seen over the past few years because of the pandemic. And that is what lawmakers are saying is, you know what? We need to adjust. We need to get out of this pandemic. And the way to do that is by cutting off certain funding and moving back to our normal lives. That's what's being discussed. Now, this is good news for the 80 plus million Americans that rely on Social Security and Medicare. The only bad news is we still don't have a for sure answer as to which direction we're going. We do know there are going to be cuts, at some point, and I want to kind of mention why. The news out this week regarding Social Security is that we are seeing improvements. Senators had multiple discussions about both parties supporting changes to Social Security and Medicare. And they say because both parties understand that these programs won't survive if we continue to wait and make changes the year or the year prior to them becoming insolvent. Now, this is why Social Security reform is expected to happen sooner rather than later. Get this. According to one White House official, they say Democrats agree that changes need to be made, but making these changes won't bode well for them and their overall agenda of providing more for the American people. However, both parties have privately agreed that making changes in 2023 before the election year is a must. It's not something that they want to do, it's something that they have to do. Now, this could mean something big will happen before the end of this year. Now, I don't know what that will mean. I'm pretty sure we're not going to see any additional increases, especially outside of the 8.7% cost of living adjustment for 2023. I think Social Security benefits are pretty much locked in where they're at right now. That means we're not going to see that $200 per month boost that President Biden promised. And honestly, I don't think we're going to see Social Security or Medicare get expanded to include younger Americans. I just don't see it. This was part of the talks before. And this came mainly from Senator Bernie Sanders, where he wanted to see Medicare and Social Security become available for people that were 60 years old. Now, I don't see that happening. That's too much of a gap We just don't have the money for it yet, because even Democrats have said we have to shore up the two programs first. Once we do that, then and only then we can improve upon them. Then we can increase benefits and expand the programs. But first, we have to shore up the programs. Now, I know a lot of people are wondering, again, what does this mean? Well, the big news today, and the big news this past few days, is that it has been agreed to by senior officials, officials in the House and in the Senate, that they are not planning to cut Social Security or Medicare. Those are the two things that they have said, and it is most likely the reason why people are coming out and saying that they're not going to make cuts is because a week or two ago, former President Donald Trump came out and said that he does not want to see a penny in cuts to either Social Security or Medicare. So we're going to see what happens moving forward. What I can tell you is that lawmakers are going to continue to discuss what options they have. As of right now, they got a bunch of different options on the table. However, they're now starting to take different things off. For instance, Social Security and Medicare. So what this means is that we don't have a definitive answer just yet, but my expectation is we are going to have a better idea of what we are going to get, most likely within the next 2 months. I would expect that February, so all of February, going to have discussions, right? So we're going to have February and March discussions, most likely right around sometime in April. We are going to get a lot more answers as to where we're headed, all right? So as always, as I know what's going on, what information I can relay to you guys, I will give you that information as soon as I get it, all right? Again, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.